can have cough, you can have a body pain, weakness. But the main features is that at the end of the day, you have bleeding from various parts of the body, from various orifices. You can have blood in the urine, you can have diarrhea too, and there'll be blood in the diarrhea, you can have blood in diarrhea, you can bleed from the nose, from the mouth, everywhere. Then at the end of the day, you have rashes that has petechial hemorrhages, bleeding into the skin in form of rashes. So these are the things that we see generally.
Does it have an incubation period?
Yeah, it does. It's basically it's between 1 to 21 days, but average of 13 incubation period. That is when you come in contact with the virus and you start manifesting the signs and symptoms.
Like when we had the Ebola incident,
Yeah.
they will say between day 1 and day 2, or before manifestation, it's not very dangerous, or the contamination level is low. Does that also apply to Lassa fever?
Well, it's the same thing actually. Like most of these, they're in the same group. They are called viral hemorrhagic fevers. We have Lassa fever, we have Ebola, we have dengue fever, we have yellow fever. So what they do is that they only transmit the virus when the symptoms have actually occurred in that individual. It is when the person has the fever, when the person is bleeding, when the person is passing blood that the person can transmit. Because the infection is transmitted through blood or body fluids.
Okay.
Like
so
through the urine, through the blood, saliva, and all that.
So would
it
you
is during
say,
the symptoms that
would you
have
say therefore that anybody who has a fever should not assume that it is malaria? They should go to the hospital and have themselves checked.
Yeah, we say that, but we don't want to create unnecessary panic. If you have fever, the first thing is to go for test, because that's the policy of Lagos State government now. We test before we treat for malaria and for typhoid. So if the test is conducted and it's negative for malaria, negative for typhoid, and you begin to see all the signs that have been enumerated, like the bleeding from somewhere, then one other question you need to ask is whether the person has had contact with somebody that has had the infection of Lassa fever. Because most of the time, I told you, like, if you're going to have infection in Lagos State, just like we have now, it's unlikely to come from the rodents because the type of rodents that we have might not be. But that does not mean that we should not keep rodents away from the homes. But it should be a transported infection. And that's exactly what we have at hand presently.
But
So
when you ask,
what we are trying to do, the case we have at hand now came in from Zaria, but we are trying all efforts to ensure that it doesn't spread to anybody in Lagos State. So we are already doing contact tracing. We have moved to Lut. We have moved to Amandia. As we are talking presently, Amandia Hospital does not admit any other patient again. So what we are trying to do is that presently we have about 40 people within the hospital premises. We have 15 patients that were being managed in the hospital. There are 25 personnel. So what the government has done is to
seal it up.
Collaborate. We're not really sealing it up. Collaborate with the management of the hospital to ensure that nobody goes out and nobody comes in. So all those 40, you have to maintain them, monitor them through the incubation period, but no new patients will come in. So these are the things that we are doing presently, and good enough.
The officials, does it mean they don't go home? They have to stay within that period until they are cleared?
Immediately, the diagnosis was confirmed yesterday. The next step was to call the hospital that, look, the patient that we referred to Lut happens to be a case of Lassa fever. And because of that, no new patients should come in, should be admitted, and nobody goes out. So all the health workers that were on duty at that point in time, they will remain there for us to monitor them. And don't forget that as against Ebola, Lassa fever has drugs. So we have drugs that we use for those that are contacts to ensure that they don't come down with the infection. As we have drugs for those that are infected to ensure that they get out of the infection.
What about the families of the officials? Because between the time that patient was admitted and when he was referred to Luth, they would have gone home, they would have had contact with their families.
That is
Are they also being monitored?
Yes, we have our officers in the field now. What happens is that we do line listing of all those health workers that have had contact with that patient. Those that are within the premises, they stay there, we monitor them. Those that have gone to their various homes, we go to the homes and monitor all their family members. And like, if I can recollect vividly that during Ebola, we monitored close to 300 even more individuals going to various houses, and that's exactly what we are doing for this case now. Just to ensure that I'm very hopeful that with the efforts of the state government and the intervention, we are not likely to have any secondary infection from this primary index case.
Okay. Now, Mr. Akingbemi,
Yes.
quickly, we need to start winding down now. Okay. You mentioned gari and yam flour, elubo. Now,
And all grains too.
and all grains. Okay. Once they are cooked, are they safe?
They are safe once cooked, thoroughly cooked.
Okay.
But you know, in our society, we have people that will drink gari, the cassava flour, raw.
So you should be campaigning now
Yeah,
that people should
we are
not drink
doing that
gari in the
right
meantime.
now, in the market, we are we are mobilizing market women, market leaders generally, and we also commence on attack, total war on rats right now because we don't want to take chances. The virus is around, and the vector thrive, so it's dangerous. So from every day, we commence on total war on rats, concentrating on our markets, on our schools, on our hospitals to make sure we bait them, gather them, take care, eradicate and take care of them, sanitarily that it is not going to affect. We are starting this with Onigbongbo LCDA on Saturday, tomorrow, by 5 p.m.
Today?
Yeah.
Today?
Saturday. Today, yeah. Saturday by 5 p.m. And from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, continuously like that, we are picking one local government per day. All the markets and the schools within those local governments will commence on,
I don't know what I can add to that.
fumigation and,
Basically, at the Ministry of Health level, we have been hearing jingles for almost 2 weeks now, 3 weeks,
yes.
on radios in different languages, trying to create awareness among the people.
Leaflets and handbills
Leaflets.
and
we have also
posters.
had meetings with market leaders in Lagos State, just as to ensure that people are aware and they store their food appropriately and cover this. So
with Ebola, with Ebola, we had sanitizers being spread around. Are these some of the things that you're
yes,
spreading?
it is, because one thing that we always tell people is that hand washing, in fact, it's been documented, that ordinary hand washing with soap and water can prevent a lot of infection. In fact, 90% of all the infections that we have. So in the case of Lassa fever now, we're also advocating, reminding our people that they should not jettison
Hand washing.
hand washing that we are already used to.
Yes.
Any activity that you do, even for our health personnel, health workers do contact fever. And the way they do it is when they attend to the patients. So we have 3 strategies to prevent infection in health workers. Hand washing is important. Before you touch any patient, you have to wash your hands with some water. After attending to the patient, you also have to wash your hands with some water. Then you must follow the infection control policy strictly as a health worker. We have all the steps that we follow, and we do that. And the next thing is that they must use PPE. That's the personal protective equipment, which we have in Lagos State already. We have at the Ministry of Health, in all general hospitals. And again, the only commissioner also directed that all the general hospitals in Lagos State should reactivate and maintain the isolation wards. So we are fully ready, we are prepared. And I want to give a level of assurance to people that there should be nobody should panic. Things are under control. The case came in from somewhere else, but it's not going to affect anybody in Lagos State. We are trying to see that.
Don't panic, and for now, don't drink gari.
Finally, if you have
Eat
a word,
eba.
have a word to those watching about health and sanitation efforts around.
Finally, I want to advise the people of Lagos State to be very, very
And beyond
conscious
Lagos, yeah.
of the environment. Let environmental sanitation, personal hygiene be your watchword. And to the government, I want to advise that they increase the number of environmental officers in the service to take care of the people. Because the WHO standard is that one environmental officer should take care of 8,000 of the population. But what we have is a far cry. There is a need actually to increase environmental officers in the service of the government so that there will be enough personnel, professionals to take care of this delivery system.
All right, thank you very much. We're looking at the Lassa fever outbreak. We've been speaking with Dr. Eniola Eriosho, Director, Disease Control, Lagos State. Thank you. And Akingbemi Samuel, President, Environmental Health Officers Association of Nigeria. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Sunrise will be back in a moment. Don't go away.